Welcome to OG After Dark, presented by our friends at Bloomin' Blinds, alongside Alex Nunnally. I'm Joe Ovias. Gilio cannot make it tonight. Alex, what up, man? You get to talk about puck for once, or again, really.
I feel like that's what I'm becoming known for now. It feels like every time I come on the show, I played basketball my whole life. Now I just talk hockey, but I'm always happy to talk Hurricanes and hockey with y'all.
No, I appreciate it, man. Look, the story of tonight, it's funny. I go back to something that Gilio talked about with me and Maniscalco after game 2 and the way that game ended in overtime. The Flyers, they gave it their best shot and they still ended up getting kicked in the nuts with that overtime loss. And I felt like tonight was a continuation of the Flyers getting kicked in the nuts on a variety of levels. I thought they started the game well. I mean, they took it to the Canes, but has been the story of the postseason for the Canes so far. A little bit of puck luck, a little bit of Freddie Andersen doing the thing, and then the Flyers, who came into this series with one of the worst power plays and not a great penalty kill. All that stuff reared its head tonight, and that's where the game broke open, which was on special teams. We'll check in with Maniscalco a little bit later when he's done on the radio side of things. But it's funny. He talked about the Canes power play not being the, as he put it, the energy vampire. Turns out that was the case for the Flyers tonight, where they just couldn't get anything going when they had the advantages. And the backbreaker was that shorthanded goal right off the faceoff, and Staal feeding Chatfield, and that was that. And from there, I don't really think the Flyers had an opportunity to really ever get back in this game.
No, they really didn't. And you mentioned, the first period where the Flyers were at their best, and they were, and that was their best period of the game. The Hurricanes still outshot them and outchanced them in expected goals for. So in their best period of the game, the Hurricanes were still the better team, which I think is kind of telling of how this series has gone so far. On the power play, we've seen it plenty of times with the Hurricanes. Like you mentioned, Mike talking about it. We've seen it on so many previous playoff runs where you get the power play and you're like, can we decline it? Like, do we have to do this right now?
Right.
So, and the Flyers, you could feel it. Their fans started booing. They're throwing the puck all over the ice. It was very similar to how the Senators were in the last series, where they started. There's no one at the point. The puck just goes out of the zone. The Hurricanes are able to change completely. So, that really was such a massive energy drain, like you said, for the Flyers tonight.
Yeah, 6:26 left in the first period. The Canes are on the kill for the first time. The Flyers get 0 shot attempts, right? You end up getting – you thought maybe they had some life on the delayed penalty sequence with Zegras taking advantage of Andersen unable to glove it, or maybe I have to go back and watch the condensed, but it looked like Andersen couldn't glove it, or maybe a stick deflected it down.
It was an elite shot placement.
Right. So that's the thing. Like, let's not misunderstand what I'm about to say here. Like, the awareness for Zegras to collect that puck as quickly as he did and get it over Andersen in that sequence was pretty damn amazing. And I'm not necessarily going to put that on Andersen. And shit, fair enough. Later on in that period, you've got Bump going more than just bumping into Andersen. As Andersen is getting up, he's trying to collect his stick. Ehlers has the puck stolen in that sequence. Martone, who's been on the doorstep throughout this entire series, and you can see why everybody's hyped up about Martone, but the guy cannot buy a freaking goal in this series. But Martone feeds Bump, who's just sitting right there. Andersen, I'm pretty sure, had an upside-down stick at that point, and he ends up making the save, right? So there is just all these examples in which the Flyers have opportunities, but whether it was, again, Martone early on having the puck go off the crossbar, or Andersen having some amazing moments this postseason, including tonight, it just starts to build up after a while. And every time you think you can get back into this thing, something catastrophic happens. And that's why they're looking at getting swept on Saturday.
Yeah, the defensive core for the Hurricanes, too, was just elite tonight. And, when Gostisbehere is your worst player and he had 2 assists and really was running the power play pretty effectively, I thought.
Yeah.
Like, you're in for a good night. I thought Slavin was fantastic. And it wasn't just the goal line save, which was a great play.
Well, again, that's another example of the puck luck that I'm talking about. Yes, as Trip Tracy likes to say, great stick, good stick. But we know the puck can bounce pretty funny on the ice, man. And who's to say that thing just doesn't bounce over a stick or just under in time? But yeah, man, amazing moment for Slavin there.
Yeah, and then Miller had so many moments. He's been such a great addition. I think after every game, someone has mentioned how good Miller has been. It's almost like a broken record, but it's so nice to have someone else beyond Slavin making those types of plays. Walker's done it. Chatfield did it tonight. He gets the shorthanded goal. Just up and down the lineup, especially on the defensive side of it. The blue line depth is at least comparable to what it was in 22-23, if not, I dare say better. I know there are definitely some Hurricanes and analysts that would disagree with me on that, but I think just from a depth perspective, you're rolling all three pairs. Even when Nikishin and Gostisbehere are out there, I'm not worried. Especially with how well Nikishin played tonight for having not played in a week and a half, I thought he looked fantastic.
Now the curiosity is, and I brought this up after game 2, the playbook, right? We've had a lot of questions about what are they going to do in net. And the Canes have another opportunity to wrap this thing up in 4 like they did with Ottawa and get a nice long reset. And I have to imagine that for game 4, they're going to go back to Anderson. I don't know why you wouldn't go back to Anderson. If he's locked in, if he's got an opportunity to get this thing 4-0, and we watch that Tampa-Montreal series go 6 or 7, they're going to have another nice long break. Now, it's funny. We talk about bracket luck. We talk about puck luck. We talk about certain breaks for the Carolina Hurricanes. There's no Tampa Bay. There's no Florida Panthers. If this is going to be it, this is going to be it, right? And this is not me trying to jinx it. I'm simply pointing out that these are the things that are in play for them. In that, the NHL screwed up their first-round scheduling so poorly that it really is advantageous for the Canes to have yet another long potential break, even if they have to come back. Because I'm still impressed with the way the Flyers have gotten up off the mat. And I have to imagine the way they were able to get off the mat after game 2 and the way they were able to keep this thing chugging away until the end when everything fell apart. I can imagine them getting up off the mat again on Saturday. There's still the potential for this to come back on Monday. But even so, they wrap this thing up on Monday. They still have time to reset and stay healthy and everything else. And right now, if things can break the Canes' way, it certainly has. I'm not complaining. I'm just simply pointing out this is the reality for the Canes, and it's only getting people to get a little bit more worked up, a little bit more maybe thinking, this could be it, Alex. This actually might be the year, man. 20 years after they did it in 2006, it's all lining up.
Well, it would be poetic, wouldn't it? I mean, 20 years later, all that on the anniversary and all that. But, you talk about the goaltending question. I think you just stick with Freddie at this point.
Yeah,
the workload tonight just wasn't to a point where you have to worry about it. If you were going to do it, it would actually be after the overtime game in game 2, like you would have in the Ottawa series. This series, the way it's played out, has been so similar to the Senators series. It is borderline a little eerie. You talk about coincidences and all, but no, they'll roll with Freddie game 4. I think he's been very good, and I think the way the schedule is set up, like you mentioned, this is a team that I do not worry about having long periods of rest because they're so consistent with what they do. There's no we have to get a momentum going. Oh, we have to do this. They know exactly how they're going to play. These guys have been around each other for a long time, and I'm not too worried about them having the whole rust thing. We saw it against Philadelphia. The best game of the series up until the second and third periods of the night was game 1 after the week-long break. So, yeah, it does kind of feel like this might be the year of destiny, but again, you still got to win. Is it 9 more games? It's crazy how long this thing goes.
Yeah, no, it's insane how long this thing goes. Yeah, you don't want to get too ahead of yourself. I understand that. But again, you can see it. That's all I'm saying. The other thing that gives you reason to be like, okay, here we go, right? The story up until this game had been how the top guys, the marquee names, had been quiet. Aho, he's had 1 goal against a goalie. We're not going to count the 2 empty netters, right? But then all that can be absolved when you see these sick no-look passes to Andrei Svechnikov, as they essentially were resetting another look at Vladar that they tried to get earlier in that power play. They reset, didn't work out. It reset. They get it to Svechnikov, who buries it with that sweet, sweet sound of the ping off the post, right, for the power play goal. I mentioned Staal. Staal just, again, showing you old man veteran savviness, whether in that sequence where he actually ends up scoring the goal early to go up 1-0. He steals the puck behind the net to keep possession, as Giglio likes to say. I'll say it for him since he's not here tonight. You can't be a puck possession team without the puck, right? Well, Staal absolutely made sure they were a puck possession team in that sequence. And again, those fortunate bounces, things that are going your way, that bank off the board to then land in front of Staal, who again has to have that net front presence to understand where we are, what it is, here it is, let's go and bang that thing in. That to me, then you got the Staal assist with Chatfield as well. The marquee names is what I'm getting at. Staal had a fantastic game. Svechnikov with the goal, as I mentioned. Ehlers with the backbreaker to make it 4-1. Staal with that pass. So all these things are adding up. These are the names that we've been asking, hey, when's it going to be time? I know Ehlers has had a pretty good series so far. I'm talking about Svechnikov. I'm talking about Aho. When Jackson Blake and Taylor Hall and Logan Stankoven don't register any points tonight, hey, this is where the depth scoring we've been hearing about all day, or not all day, throughout the entire season that we haven't necessarily seen in the postseason finally showed up. And if that's what the Canes are going to do against a spunky Flyers team, hey, man, everybody's going to like your chances.
Well, I think two things. One, we saw a playoff Martinook tonight. That dude was electric. That play on the shorthanded to spring the 2-on-1, or I guess somewhat break for Staal and Chatfield going the other way. And then the play in center ice to get Ehlers open for the breakaway was fantastic. So Martinook has had a tendency, especially in the second round, to show up. He definitely showed up tonight. At one point, the TNT broadcast mentioned the top guys of the Hurricanes haven't scored tonight and when it was 4-1, referencing Stankoven, Hall, and Blake. I immediately was like, those aren't really our top. Oh, wait, they are our top guys.
They are.
It's what's so fascinating about this run is that the depth is there, like you mentioned. And it hasn't been there where we're hoping, okay, well, maybe Nature's will get going this time. We're like, oh, we'll put Jarvis with Staal and Martinook. That'll get them going. Like the way this team is rolling right now, they mentioned anyone on this lineup could score at any given moment. And this is really the first time in a playoff run in a while where I felt like a goal could come from any person at any moment on the ice, which is what you need to win a cup. You watch Colorado, they don't score 9 goals because McKinnon and McCarr score all 9 of them.
Everybody's doing it. Yeah, no,
exactly. That's the only way you can really be consistently effective in playoffs is when, okay, so teams are taking away Aho specifically, and now they're trying to take away Stankoven. Well, now Staal's line's getting going, and they're scoring because of the presence of Ehlers on that line, who has been fantastic. So you got 3 lines rolling like that, and your 4th line is as effective as it is. This is a dangerous group.
We are brought to you by Bloom & Blinds on the After Dark. Mike Maniscalco was in here. Now he's out. I'm guessing he's having some issues with the cell service there up in Philadelphia, but he'll log back in here. In the meantime, check out Bloom & Blinds, bloominblinds.com. For OG listeners, you will get 15% off your order straight up. Just tell them you're an OG listener. They're going to come back to you with 15% off whatever it is that you do. So looks like Maniscalco is back in. There's Mike. He's back in there at the Xfinity Center. Hopefully the Mike. There you are, sir. How are you, sir? Good. Alex is here. Gilio
really good.
Had to take care of some things tonight, so that's why he can't join us. So it's me and Alex tonight. You're just out. You're already out of the building.
Yeah, well, we're trying to get to the bus, so yeah.
All right. So before the bus
seeing they left me in Ottawa, I am not making that mistake here in Philadelphia.
Hey, by the way, every time we chat with you, it is brought to you by our friends at Brassfield Accounting. So check them out, brassfieldaccounting.com. All right. Before the bus picks you up, as I mentioned from the jump, Mike, marquee name stepped up, and something we talked about going into this series, special teams. Philadelphia just doesn't have it. The Canes finally got going tonight.
Yeah, period. I mean, if you want to write the story, that's the real easy one. It's the headline. It's the body of the story. It's everything. And for the Canes to get 2 power play goals, yeah, they had a lot of power play chances in this one, but the Flyers were gifted a 5-on-3 with a chance to tie the game. But you got to make the most of it, and that's exactly what Carolina did tonight. And the thing that I love about this team, Joe and Alex, is they just keep playing the same, no matter what the score says, no matter what's going on. They don't start chasing. They don't start getting worried. They just stick to their game, and that's kind of what happened here tonight. They get the first goal, which I think was huge. If the Flyers would have got the first goal, the way that this building was set up, the roof would have come off of it. They were ready to go, and that was clear on the goal that they scored that made it a 1-1 game. But overall, this was a textbook Carolina victory, and they just kept coming after Philadelphia. They gave them absolutely no room. Now, Flyers hit a couple of posts, had a couple of breakaways. Freddie made some big saves. But, that's the script for Carolina, and they followed it. It's what they did all year to get the most points in the Eastern Conference, and now they're sitting here one win away from sweeping their second consecutive series.
Yeah, as Ben points out in the chat, Slavin the MVP of the night. I was going to say, you're talking about Freddie saves, and yes, Freddie made some great saves tonight. Don't get me wrong, but that stick save, man, right there on the line was absolutely incredible.
Yeah, he's got, as I'm saying goodbye to Colby Armstrong, who former Penguin, he knows what it's like to win in this building. Jen, everybody, we'll get the quick win. But as far as this is concerned, I'll move my thumb here. Jacob Slavin does Jacob Slavin things, right? I even said it on the broadcast. At some point, I'd feel like, it's not amazing. It's still amazing what he does. And the fact that he doesn't get the recognition that other defensemen in this league get for how he plays the position. And I get it because he's not putting up 75 points. I get it. But you could take a poll of the 31 other coaches and the 31 other general managers of, give me the best defensive defenseman in the National Hockey League. And if he doesn't have all 31 of those votes, he's going to have at least 30 of them, in my opinion, the way he plays the game and his value. And just, it's little subtle plays that really break the will of the opposition, of knocking down pucks constantly, being in the right place constantly, flipping the puck to the right area constantly. It's amazing to watch him do it night in, night out.
So about that, it's actually something that Alex and I were talking about. Alex pointed out that he was amused by Miller just laughing off some of the chirping and antics by the Flyers. You've got Taylor Hall in the box. Was he basically looking like a kid travel hockey, just enjoying himself there at the end and everything else. You talk about breaking the will. That's part of it. That's playoff experience. Having been here before, we've made the reference. Even Alex pointed this out before we got going. It's giving a lot of Boston 2019. Now the Canes are that to teams like Ottawa. They are like that to teams like Philadelphia in this series. But I will say this. I thought that the Canes would come out hotter tonight than they did. I give the Flyers a lot of credit because, as I said at the jump, I feel like this game was just a series of kicks to the nuts for the Flyers. And the way they started that game, only for you to be down 1-0 at the first intermission, was a continuation of that. I give them credit for getting up off the mat at that overtime, credit for getting up off the mat after being down 1-0, but at some point they had to break.
No, we talked about this the other day. I thought what we saw from the Flyers in the first 10 minutes was what we were going to get. I mean, there's no doubt. They knew this was it. This was the series here for them. They don't win this one. They're not winning 4 in a row on the Carolina Hurricanes, and they know it. And I'm going to go back to the wisdom of Justin Williams and his many, many nicknames. But he talks about a playoff series is all about letting your opposition know exactly how hard it is to win. And then you just weigh on them until their legs give out and the series is over. Well, the Canes kicked out the one leg by winning in overtime. And then they weighed on them tonight and kicked out the other leg. Now, nothing's over until it's officially over. And I'll give you the cliche, the hardest game to win in a 4-game series is that fourth one to close it out. But the Flyers know how damn hard it is to try to win a game against the Carolina Hurricanes. And we'll see how Saturday goes. Because Saturday could be, throw everything at the wall and see what happens for Philadelphia. And what I mean that, they're fighting for their lives, or it could be, all right, we know how hard it's going to be to win 4 straight games. Do we have our bags packed for someplace else? Saturday is going to be a real interesting game to me to see how the Flyers come out, because that'll dictate how the game is played.
Yeah, I'm curious. I'll be in the building for that one. We're still going to go up there, so it'll be interesting to see what happens. All right, before you go get on the bus, and we appreciate the time, and I want you left behind, as I stated earlier, you back me up on this. We're just going to see a repeat of the Ottawa playbook. You go back to Freddie Anderson on Saturday for Game 4 to wrap this thing up.
Yeah, I don't see any reason why you do anything different. Just get it over with, and then get your. I think Buffalo and Montreal is going to go 6 games.
Yeah,
that's just my gut feeling on that one. You wrap this one up, and then you get on the plane and you go home and you sit for however long you need to before the Eastern Conference Final starts.
All right, Mike, get on the bus. Don't have any incidents there in Philadelphia. And I'm assuming Rod told the refs that it's just some steak with some cheese on it. I lived here. I don't know why you guys get so worked up about it. And the refs just said, that's enough.
No,
that's enough.
They all know that the roast pork sandwich is the better sandwich here. They keep feeding us the cheesesteak line, but the roast pork is really the way to go.
All right, man. We'll talk to you later.
You got it, guys. Be good.
Mike Maniscalco on the Heister Automotive Group hotline again. He's always brought to you by our friends at Brassfield Accounting. Check them out online at brassfieldaccounting.com. And of course, here on the After Dark, it's brought to you by the Bloomin' Blinds. Yeah, I'd love to know what Brendan Moore said to the refs to get him an unsportsmanlike during that sequence.
Yeah, I mean, he was not the only one chirping from the bench either.
No.
They could have called her about 5 different. Blake was going after them from the box too. So
yes.
But I mean, and that's just okay. We can talk about the officiating if you want, because it's just it. But it's not just the Hurricanes.
It's not just
bad. It's just bad across the board in the NHL. It is legitimately just not. It's just not consistent. You're just not letting stuff go. The amount of penalties is up like 35% over last year being called.
Yeah.
And then you're calling bench minors for a guy complaining about it. I was like, what are we doing here?
Yeah, I don't know. I got to imagine that maybe Rod told them, look, guys, Wawa's overrated. We got Buc-ee's coming to North Carolina. We're good. Like, wake me up when you guys get a Buc-ee's. Or like, you know what? Royal Farms chicken, so much better than anything you can get at Wawa. It's like, that's it. Bench minor, done. But yeah, it's interesting. It was something that was debated on the TNT set. Like, for instance, I think it was the trip they called
talking about Gossespierre.
With Gossespierre.
Yeah.
And look, maybe it's because maybe I don't know. Maybe Anson was thinking about his warm fuzzies. I think he played 10 total games for the Carolina Hurricanes. Maybe he was being a homer there. I think it was 06-07 when he was on the squad. And you know, like I think he was right in the assessment. I also think it was right for them to go ahead and look at Hall for the boarding, which was the right call with it not being a major. You go look at it. That's what you're supposed to. There are some things in there that I understand why they call them. But you're right. This is something that goes beyond this series. This has been something that we've seen a lot throughout the Stanley Cup playoffs. And I would love to know the next time Gary Bettman has an interview that's not with Pat McAfee, that's just kind of doing, the usual, surface level stuff. Somebody asking Gary, and maybe we get that in the Stanley Cup Finals when he has some sort of state of the league thing. That why are we seeing this? Is this a concerted effort? Was this something that was a point of emphasis? Like, why are the calls going the way that they're going, to the point where you have the studios talking about whether these things are soft or not?
Yeah, and I do think the Hurricanes are a hard team to officiate, specifically with the way they play, the amount of sticks that are in there, the amount of board battles they get in. There's so many things that are technically penalties, but you're really it's basically we're daring the refs to, and to be fair, they have called most of them. That's where you're starting to get in the trouble. But then, you're kind of getting the retaliation penalties from the Flyers. And, I do think Brendan Moore has a very good point. He's talked about this for years, talking about you have the ability to review a lot of these plays, and I don't understand why a lot of the time. I know you don't want to drag the game on for too long. I get that to a point. But, hockey moves so much faster than most any other sport to officiate. It is hard to get every call right. You miss so much. The puck's moving so quickly. Stuff happens away from the puck. And you have the ability to go look at stuff. And I actually do commend them for going back and calling the major on Hall and then reducing it down after looking at it. I thought that was the right process of it. Because live speed, it looks like Hall tried to kill him. And then you realize, he actually just tripped. And then he did board him, but it's not horrible like it looked. So that's the right process. But again, when you have the technology and the ability to do it, there are parameters you could do. Be like, okay, look at it for 30 seconds. If you can't tell, then just stick with the call. There's things you can do like that. But I know I'm probably getting on a little bit of my soapbox here with officiating. But I could talk about officiating in every sport for so long. But
it sounds like a guy who's played some games and has some issues with how games get called.
I've seen ACC officiating firsthand for my fair share of years. So I definitely have my critiques of officiating. But
you got to remember that in order to keep the shtick going, you can't be part of the big bad. And that's the thing. The Canes are the big bad now, right?
They are.
You know, the Canes are the ones that have Flyers fans calling the Canes front office and saying, you know, hey, such and such, you guys are getting all the calls and things like that. Although after tonight, I don't want to hear any Flyers fans complaining about the officiating. You had multiple opportunities, including multiple 5-on-3 time, and you still can't get it done. Still can't get it done.
I mean, it's incredible. I don't remember seeing this many 5-on-3s in a playoff run, period.
Well, the Svechnikov goal was a 4-on-3 for heaven's sake. Like,
I did mention, I don't remember last time I saw a 4-on-3 in any situation, much less in the playoffs.
Yeah, man. Like that to me is freaking that to me is the thing. Another one from Ben, not an NC State podcast retweet. Yes, Ben. Yes. Yeah. I'm glad that's become a recurring joke on this podcast. From Lake on the YouTube comments, Wawa, exceptional gas station, or what the Flyers are doing at the end of the game. Yes, there's definitely some wah. Let's see. Oh, from Daniel going in on the McAfee jokes. Hey, Gary, these penalties, you heard about this? Yeah, that is something that if he was to go full Jay Leno, Jerry Seinfeld, what's the deal with these penalties, Gary? Maybe that's something that we could do.
Side note, watching Pat McAfee try to talk hockey after not watching hockey the entire year is the funniest thing.
Like I said, we've all done surface level takes.
Oh, yeah.
Who am I to cast a stone in that situation? I just think it's funny that he does it like that. From Raymond, all right, Wawa is not overrated. You're right. Wawa isn't overrated. I'm just trying to figure out what Rod said. From Corey, Rod said that Oates was the real soul of that duo. Not all. Whoa. That's some fighting words right there.
That one might be before my time.
No, come on. Get into the Hall & Oates catalog, dude.
I might
From Long-Legged Runner, thought you guys were going to Philly. We are. We're going on Saturday, which is going to be an interesting scene, to say the least. From Bubba, two things. If you thought the Canes were soft, you are sadly mistaken. Second, so far in the playoffs, the Hurricanes are clearly the best conditioned team. Yes, something we talked about with Maniscalco and what you mentioned, Alex. They're going to play their way, straight up. They are going to control the game. They're going to control the puck the best way they can. They're going to they have no off switch, right? That can be boring for other people, as we discussed a lot last year and the year before that. But in these games against teams that don't have that playoff experience, it is absolutely working in their favor. And that's why top-end skill that you might see in Montreal, top-end skill that you might see in Buffalo, they don't have that depth and they don't have that experience. And honestly, I think that is what is getting them through to potentially pull off something that does not happen very often in the modern era of the Stanley Cup playoffs. Back-to-back sweeps to start this whole thing off.
Yeah, well, I get to make a comparison now because Joe isn't here.
Okay.
The Hurricanes are like Virginia basketball.
Oh, geez. Why are we doing this?
I knew. I get to do it.
What is with you two?
I'm saying,
what is with you two and your obsession with Virginia basketball? I'll never understand.
When we scouted Virginia with Tony Bennett, there was no question about what they were doing. You knew exactly what they were doing, and you had to change for them. They were not going to change for you, right? The Hurricanes are exactly that way. You know exactly what the Hurricanes are going to do to you the entire game, and then they're daring you to stop them. Yeah. And they haven't been able to. Like, I guarantee if you went through the Flyers scouting department, they'd be like, yeah, this is one of the easiest scouts we've had. You know what they're going to do, right? I'm not saying it's an easy scout, but you know from the basic concepts, the Hurricanes are going to dump and chase. They're going to have their sticks in the passing lanes. They're going to play a sound, solid, fundamental team defense. Then they're going to make life a living hell for you. That's what they're going to do for 60 minutes a night, every night. You might get a couple, but they're not going to be easy goals. And I think that's very similar to how Tony Bennett ran it, how a lot of Greg Popovich with the Spurs ran it. You knew exactly what the Spurs were going to do. Yes. You knew exactly what Tony Bennett was going to do. But now you have to go stop them. And now the Hurricanes have the talent in place that can do the system effectively and take advantage of the opportunities that they create so often.
Ben wants to know, does that make the Flyers Boston College? Dang.
Oh, no. Dang. No, I'm not even going to mention Boston College on that.
Why is Boston College catching strays? Canes fans who only are like the oops, all Canes, we apologize for ACC basketball references.
919-444-2211. Call the OG Sports phone and curse or don't.
All right, let's go to the OG Sports phone. As always, when we do the After Dark, I just pull these in off the Google Voice, and we see where we go from there. Let's go to a 919.
Joe's, after watching how Miller and Ehlers have transformed this hockey club into a playoff monster, I've come to realize Dundon's ultimate goal. Double GM Eric Tulsky. Canes GM, Blazers GM, total cost savings. Who says no?
Maybe he wants the challenge. After the potential of sweeping the team that he enjoyed back in the day, and he initially started blogging about. We all know the Eric Tulsky origin story. There is the double whammy of him and how he used to cover that team and write about that team. Rod playing for that team and the lore of him coming over to this organization. Yeah, man, it's all there. Everything's coming up. Rod and Tulsky. All right, let's go to another 919.
So first intermission, they're complaining about the tripping penalty on Gostisbehere that led to the power play goal. But, I mean, whether it was a dive or not, it was basically a knee-on-knee. And I think it's a good call just because we don't need skilled players being taken out by cheap shots, whether they look relatively benign or not. A knee-on-knee is a knee-on-knee. Plus, think about all the years the Canes have been victims of bullshit calls. And I think this is the year that it all comes back full circle, dude. Angels in the crease. My favorite movie so far this playoffs. Let's go.
Yeah, I get that the studio show has to have something to talk about. And that trip was definitely something to talk about. But in the way that this game was officiated throughout, there's larger things to complain about than that one particular call. Again, in the context of how the game was being called, the fact that they called that makes a lot of sense. A lot of sense. And it's almost weird that we're in the opposite trajectory for this postseason. We saw it in the overtime in game 2 at Lenovo Center. Outside of the iffy Svechnikov penalty, the rest of that overtime, they just let them play. And I'm thinking that really is the only time in 3 games between the Flyers and the Canes that we've seen that classic playoff hockey where anything goes, no blood, no foul type situation. So it's been as much as we can complain about the officiating or complain about the officiating in the sense that it has completely dislodged any flow of this series, it has at least been consistent throughout outside of that overtime period.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting to me with how much the refs have been calling. They still lost control of all these games at some point. Like today, it turned into a brawl at the end of this one. You had guys get kicked out at the end of game 1, cheap shotting back and forth the whole time. I'm not trying to say the Hurricanes aren't innocent of this. Like, there have been plenty of instances they get dragged down into it too. But for the most part, like the Flyers are still trying to do a lot of this stuff, even with as many penalties as being called. So you think, I know the refs are probably trying to be like, if we call a bunch of it, then we can put a stop to it. And they haven't. And I think that's really interesting. It kind of goes, it's just an interesting dynamic, I guess. I'm not exactly sure there's like a takeaway from it, but usually you think, okay, if we call everything, then they're going to stop. That just hasn't been the case. So I'm almost curious if they do back off a little bit and kind of say like, look, it hasn't worked either way. Let's let them play a little bit. But
no, I don't think they're going to stop at all. I think it's just the mindset of the Flyers. This is how the Flyers against the Penguins was very, very similar. We're going to irritate you. We're going to get under your skin. This is how we're going to put you in a bad spot, which is ironic too, considering that the Flyers special teams has been atrocious. And that's just something that has carried over into the postseason, right? Mm-hmm. But it's not so much about getting those power play opportunities. It's more so about just getting under your skin and then taking advantage of any potential mistakes. But it just hasn't been there. You can do that against an older, sunsetting Penguins team. You cannot do this against a Canes team that has been building to this playoff experience point that they're cashing in on. Let's go to a 919.
What's going on, boys? Yeah, just driving in the car, thinking about the Canes game tonight, and for whatever reason, my mind wanted to go back to last year where we had to argue over Scott Morrow or Alexander Nikushin on who should be the 6th guy. And I just want to say, thank God we don't have to deal with that this year. thankfully our defense hasn't been holding us back as the past couple of years. But I just thought that was crazy how we went from Scott Morrow or brand new Alexander Nikishin to now a solid seventh guy in Mike Riley, in case someone like Gostisbehere or Daddy or Nikishin goes out. So yeah, I just thought that was wanting to reminisce on that to piss everyone off. Thanks.
Yes. All the debates of the Washington series and what to do with the piling injuries. And again, I bring all these things up. Don't be superstitious. We're not trying to jinx it. We're just trying to add context to where the Canes have been in previous playoff experience and where they are today. And that's a very, very good point about the defense. Getting Nikishin back, crucial to what they're trying to do. And yeah, I would say that there's a difference there. I'm glad that the caller brought up Riley, because as Brendan Moore pointed out, when he stepped in the absence of Nikishin in game one, when they thought he could go, but then he couldn't, things like that, Brendan Moore called it out. He's like, look, Riley understands his role. He understands what's needed of him. He knows that at any moment he could be in this situation. For lack of a better term, Riley is a stay-ready all-star, which is crucial to what the Canes need to do right now, rather than this untested, unproven, you're hoping for the Russian phenom to just absolutely be ready to go in his first actual action from last year, or you've got that rapid development of somebody like Morrow. So all things considered, extra seasoning for Nikishin and having guys like Riley understand their role has come at a perfect time for the Carolina Hurricanes.
Yeah, no, I think, sorry, I'm just having flashbacks to watching Scott Morrow try to play hockey against the Florida Panthers. That was just not a fun experience for anyone.
No, it was not.
Talk about great asset management too by Eric Tulsky, but I digress. But
see what he could do with the Blazers. You never know. Give him a shot.
I was actually just thinking like that Dundon might actually do that. Let's not put ideas in his head.
I was going to say, as crazy as that sounds, I wouldn't be surprised if Dundon one day goes, "Hey, so have you thought about basketball? What are your thoughts?"
It's just numbers, right? That's all.
Yeah, it's all numbers game, right?
But no, I think that like we talked about earlier, being able to roll three pairings and not really worry like if Gostisbehere and Nikishin get stuck out after an icing. Okay, fine, they're gonna be okay, right? You're not like, please survive this shift. Like just get it out so we can change. Like, okay, no, they know what they're doing because we know our forward lines are so responsible too. And don't like any combination of them are gonna be okay for a shift or two. I think that's such a big difference, especially the last couple of years of the Hurricanes being able to roll four lines and three pairings and having the depth in goal too. Because I feel confident that Bussy could step in if needed. But we don't need him because Freddie is playing at the level he's playing at.
That's the thing, and I am confident that they're going to go ahead, and as backbreaking as tonight was, I think that's going to continue on Saturday, and they're going to wrap this thing up. And if they don't, and they have a Game 5 situation, I still think they go back to Freddie in Game 5.
I do too. Yeah.
Because if they can wrap it up, then as we've discussed, I don't anticipate that Montreal-Buffalo series to be done anytime soon. That's going to be a high-flying affair, as we've seen out of the first two games. Or out of the first game?
Just one,
Yeah, just one. So, again, the scheduling is so off that I've thought that they've already played more than they have, and they actually haven't. All right, let's go back to the phones, 910.
Joe and Gilio, I think you guys were trying to decide what should you drink out of the Carolina Hurricanes beer skate, and you're talking about beer, but I figured what better thing to drink out of it than the Duplin Wine 10th year anniversary muscadine wine of the Hurricanes Stanley Cup. I think you guys tried it a couple years ago. I remember in particular Gilio not being a big fan of it, but as a fellow Duplin Countyan, I think it's worth giving another shot, and who knows, it might bring some good juju to the team this year or two. Maybe we can bring it home again. Why not?
I appreciate the call. What he is referencing is after we had reached some sort of YouTube subscriber milestone, we cracked open a 10-year anniversary. Relentless was the name of the wine. It was muscadine, and it was not great. It was not great. I would rather drink a Carolina Blue 1982 soda that's rusting out of the bottom of the can before I would drink that wine again. That's how bad it tasted, right? risking botulism from that can more so than drinking that wine. But no, I am going to bring the beer skate with me to Philadelphia. If the Canes sweep on Saturday, I will crack open like a Trogs or something. I don't know. I'll find some sort of local beer and I will pour it into the beer skate outside of a Wawa and pound it. That was my thought process. But we'll see. Don't want to get too ahead of ourselves. Do not want to get too ahead of ourselves. All right, let's go to another 919.
Taylor Hall. I wasn't familiar with Taylor Hall. I mean, my God. If you would have told me that he would be considered a dirty player by the national media, I would have told you you're full of shit, you know. Honestly, I think the refs are, doing a little too much. Soft calls. I think game one had a lot to do with that, with how it kind of spun out of control. They're kind of jumpy. They're making a lot of calls. They're not really letting them play. I don't know. It's the second period right now, so we'll see how it goes. But honestly, I don't know. I don't love the hit, but it is what it is. I'm glad I'm glad our guys are throwing the hits instead of, the other teams. So anyway, hopefully they win. If not, well, I don't know. I don't give a shit.
Between the caller going like, I wasn't familiar with your game, and somebody in the chat suggesting Malort for the beer skate. No, I can't keep track of these things. Although apparently they do have some barrel-aged Malort that is on sale right now. Are you interested in that, Alex?
I don't drink. So I'm
that's right. You don't drink.
I'm listening to you talk about this. Like, I have no idea what you're
talking about. Now that I've brought up Malort, you're making the right decision. You're making the right decision. Trust me on that. And as far as Hall's concerned, look, man, guy's been around the block a few times. He can feel it. He's feeling it right now, man. He's been scorching hot. So
yeah,
all these things coming together. Let's go to another 919.
Hey, OG, NC State moderator here. Game 4 is in the bag. I know they didn't have many chances to do it, but not pulling your goalie, man, what kind of message is that send to your team? Mm-hmm. I don't know about that decision. But I don't think the Flyers have a responsible like Ottawa did. I don't think it's going to be as physical. But we'll see. But they just don't seem to have it. They seem defeated. All right. Good night. Go Canes.
I was going to say, what was it? The what game was it the other? Was it the Montreal Buffalo series where they pulled the goalie for like 5 minutes? Didn't see any of that tonight.
I don't remember. Someone did pull a goalie for a long time, but I don't remember exactly which game it was.
All right, let's go to 1803.
Holy shit. Belt to ass is the only phrase that comes to mind. Let's fucking go 7-0. Unbelievable. Let's fucking go, man.
Tell you what, no Malort ever. We'll see about that because our guy Chris saying you got a barrel-aged Malort coming to you. Okay, Chris. He's our connect. I tell you what. If the Canes get back-to-back sweeps and they make it past the Eastern Conference Finals, this is kind of like earning the I don't even know how to put it. I feel like maybe there's a good luck charm if I do the barrel-aged Malort. I don't know. We'll see. I'm workshopping it. Maybe we use the beer skate for that. I have no idea. We shall see. We're gonna have to think about this, but we're gonna have to find a way to incorporate the Malort. Alex not included because trust me, you don't want that. You're not. If you haven't started, you're not gonna start with this. I'm just saying that. Let's go to a night.
Here. Let's fucking go Canes, baby. 3-0 series lead against Philly. But I have a question of Gilio and Ovis. Do you think, am I weird for wanting this series to go maybe 5 games? Carolina faced a little bit of adversity because it hasn't been tested yet. Would it be okay to lose game 4 and then win game 5 on home ice just so you're not losing later rounds in the playoffs? Just a genuine question. Just wanted you guys' thoughts.
Yeah, no, you want to win. No. It's just not. You never know, right? Like you don't want to play around, give them a chance to get back in it. It's just not worth it. You finish what you start, and that's winning on Saturday.
Yeah, and also this idea that they haven't faced any sort of adversity or they've been tested. I'll disagree on that. I mean, we talked about this after game 2, trailing the way that they did, winning in overtime. I would also say, going back to the Ottawa series, where they thought they won in overtime and only having to go to a double overtime and find another way to win, they've had some moments where they've been tested and they've come out on top. I would also say that, again, the Canes are going to play their way regardless. The fact that they were able to withstand the Flyers' best opportunity to try to get back in this thing, which was in the first 5 to 6 minutes of this game, they were able to weather that and still come out with a 1-0 lead, was crucial to how the rest of the series was going to go. So I don't think that losing a game really does anything. I don't think there's some sort of like, I don't know. Maybe I have this wrong, Alex. I mean, at some point as a player, do you start talking about streaks? At some point, do you start looking at, well, we haven't lost yet. Maybe we should get that out of the way. I mean, in a 7-game series, like, I get it. You're coming from a different perspective because, hey, man, you lose once, it's over, right? It's over for you. So you have to win all these things. But I just don't know if losing a game really accomplishes that kind of thought when we've seen them be able to weather some stuff, whether it's the Ottawa series or this series.
Well, I mean, you talk about the officiating too. They've weathered plenty of adversity, 5-on-3s, getting no calls, it feels like sometimes. But this team has been through this run too many times for it to really matter if they face adversity by losing a game. They've lost plenty. And plenty of bad situations. A lot of the core guys have lost many, many, many times in heartbreaking fashion. So I'm not too worried about them not losing a game during this specific run. Might as well just go 16-0. Like, obviously they're not going to, most likely. But the point being, you just win the next game. That's all you're supposed to do. You're never going to be like, well, if we did lose this one, then our rest will match up better with Montreal. But you're not playing that game. You're worried about the task in front of you. And the task in front of you is finishing Philadelphia off and not worrying about playing a game 5 where someone could get hurt. You just don't want to – you want to limit the amount of variables that you present to yourself. And doing that is winning on Saturday.
All right, let's go to 919.
PK Subban. Give me a fucking break. You got to show me. Eat a dick, bro. ESPN, show some love for our former King, Kevin Weeks, and get this clown off the air. Go Canes.
Why Canes fans fall for the PK bit, I'll never understand, because that's exactly what it is. It is a bit, okay? He knows it gets people going. It's also easier to bet against the Canes because if we can be honest for a second here, the Canes have shown you in the Eastern Conference Finals that they struggle to win. Now we'll throw 2019 out of the equation because it was a completely different. It was their first run at it. It was a completely different team with the core being as young as it was. Svechnikov was a freaking baby. All those things, right? And Boston was built to get through that thing. But I think what people are focused on. So here's my thing with the Canes. I think this is what PK is doing here. And we're guilty of this all the time. It is easier to predict a loss. It is easier to predict that a team won't be able to do it than it is to just ride a team all the way through, right? Because the chances of you losing are greater than that of winning. Because it's really hard to win in these situations. It's why I get annoyed that teams have really good seasons. They have deep playoff runs. They come up a game or two short, and people are like, "Y'all are frauds. Your seasons." I was like, "No, you had a really freaking good season. It's just really freaking hard to win, and there's only one of you that can win it all." All right, so but I guess that's not how it works. The hot take business requires hot takes to exist, and it's just easier to be like, "I don't think they can do it," than it is to say, I think they can do it. And with the Canes, it's even easier to poke on them because online people will come after you. And that's exactly what PK Subban's doing. It's fine. I get what he's doing. But I don't know. Maybe PK needs to go on with Pat McAfee and McAfee can just hit him with have you heard about the Canes? Have you seen what the Canes have been doing, PK? It's been pretty impressive. I mean, They've been on it since Jump Street, man.
He
Let's
was
go
on
to
Pat McAfee, wasn't it?
Was he?
I think he was, yeah.
That would require me to watch McAfee's show outside of
That's
the
fair.
clips that get fed to me. So it is what it is. All right, let's go to a 619.
Man, go Canes. But when does the puck luck run out, and is there a possibility it doesn't? Because that first period, what was it, like 4 shots off the post? Anyway, just an incredible third period. I think it's awesome that Philly's going ahead and doing their chippy stuff here in Game 3. Like they've almost already given up. Hopefully we can take it home, or not take it home, and win this thing in 4. Also, Keandre Miller it's a lost art. Whenever someone gets in your face, to just make them feel like a dumbass, and he's really good at doing that. Just laughing in dudes' faces. I love it. Helps that you're 6'4". But yeah, go Canes.
The Miller love keeps going through the roof. I'm looking at the YouTube chat while this is going on. I'm not familiar with Big Smokey, but I guess he has an issue with all these callers sounding somewhat like, I don't know, sleepy or something like that. I don't know if he's a Philly guy. Look, I understand this isn't WIP, right? You know, we don't have a guy calling from Hershey being all worked up about, you know, something with the Flyers. Totally get that. We're on this podcast, it's Dave Doran that'll catch a stray from time to time, not Nick Sirianni, right? There's no that's what's really going on. Anyway,
he got
sorry.
booed to start the game too. That was hysterical.
Wait, what happened?
Did you not? I mean, yeah, he got booed. They did like the lighter orange thing.
Oh, I didn't see it. No, so because like so my son Caleb had a guitar recital tonight. So I got home and turned the game on like literally as the game started. So I missed all of the pregame stuff.
Show they do.
I didn't see the pregame stuff.
He did the lighter orange thing. They're all booing him.
Of course they did.
And I was like, man, that's just such Philadelphia. Also, all these Philly fans talking about, oh, well, your fan base. They left with like 10 minutes left in that game. Man, I mean, look, I'm not saying that like they shouldn't have left, but don't come on here talking about all the fan base stuff if you're not going to stick it out. Like, get out,
man. Look. You know how like I've been on record about how I feel about Philly sports talk, how I feel about Philly fans. Philly fans are the last city that actually comes at you. They go for your throat. They're the last fan base that comes at you like that. New York's gotten soft. Boston's all in their feelings right now. They're probably running to Bill Simmons or Portnoy to just, you know, be in their feelings about stuff and think about the old days. Philly fans, you just won the Super Bowl. Cool. I still think you fucking suck. You're still a bum. All that kind of stuff. That's why Philly fans are real. Like that's why I'm like, Philly fans are real fans, man. And yes, they'll be fired up on Friday. They'll be fired up on Saturday. I'm looking forward to being in the building. All right, let's go to 1919.
Oh, hi. This is the Southern Flyers fan and 14-year veteran of the game. I've never made a call like this a second time, and I didn't hear back from Martin Brendamore, so I thought I'd call into the Ovaries and Gigolo podcast. But what another shameful display. I don't know what Brendamore is paying the refs, but how dare he give us a 5-on-3 knowing that we couldn't convert? How dare the first 2 games be so close, and then you hustle us and just blow us out tonight? You know, those are just head games. Play the game straight. Anyway, that was bullshit. I'm super positive you drugged us and then paid the refs. Anyway, never made a call like this twice, but I love you guys so much. And have a blessed day. And fuck you, motherfuckers. Fuck you. Fuck.
Very good homage to the call that went viral. From Daniel, FYI, they weren't booing Sirianni. They were just going Coop for Cooper DeJean. That's clearly that was the case.
Yeah, 100%.
Clearly what was happening. Clearly,
Philly sports have never booed their head coach before.
They've never booed Santa Claus. Nah, it's never happened. They've never put batteries inside snowballs and throw it onto the field. They've never done things like that before.
Never, no.
All right, let's go to an 832.
Well, I'm going to assume that judging by the end of the game and someone like them trying to I don't know who any of the guys on the Phillies. It's hockey. Like none of these names are in English. I'm not going to be able to pronounce them if I don't watch them every single day. So whoever the heck at the end of the game for Philly punching Miller, it's just laughing. They're all just laughing at them. It's the series. By the way, there's a couple of comparisons TNT put us up. First, seven games being your opponent scoring 2 goals or less against them. That was 1994 was the last time that happened. The Rangers were the team, and then the last time the Hurricanes won 7 playoff games in a row was 2006. Pretty good teams to be compared to. I'm going to assume we're doing pretty good so far. I'm going to assume that if they lose on Saturday, y'all can no longer go to a Hurricanes road game. And other than that, I'm also hopefully going to just gonna I don't like counting my eggs before they're hatched. So hopefully they win on Saturday.
Yes, hopefully they win on Saturday. Also, if they lose on Saturday and we're there, you're probably right in that we won't go to any more road games because the other road games in the other series coming up would be cost prohibitive. Like, there's no direct flight to Buffalo, and I ain't driving 9 hours to get up to Buffalo. Montreal, forget that. Have you seen airline tickets? So, and like, let's say we do now. If we do get a Colorado Canes Stanley Cup final, and it looks like we might be destined for that. I don't want to get too ahead of ourselves. I'm just saying, if that does happen, we should save so that we can get eyes on Giglio watching Natchez in person again. Just like eyeballs, like goo eyes watching Natchez again. That would be worth the price of airfare to go up to Colorado.
Burns and Drury are there too. They got all the former Canes there.
They do. Actually, he might be more gaga-eyed for Drury for all we know. From Kelly on the YouTube comments, begging people to drink some water before calling it. No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. Now, yes, OG takes Vegas would be crazy for the Stanley Cup Finals. I have thought about that. If it is something like that, that's an easy flight. That is a piece of cake, and you know, Giglio we would max the company credit card out to make that happen for every game. We might just camp out in Vegas. We might just do all the after darks from Vegas. We just decamp there.
Just not even come back.
Not even come. Like we're just there for the entirety of the series. Just a thought. Let's go to 919. We got 2 more calls.
Let me ask you something, Philly. How do you want it? Do you want it shorthanded? Do you want it against the power play? Do you want it 5-on-5? Do you just want it up your fucking arse? Because the Canes can deliver. All right. Holy shit. I know Giglio said they were going to come out determined. And yes, they did. They came out more aggressive. But Philly, here's the thing. All right. Besides all that, here's the thing that got me. When the actual national broadcast says, hey, if you don't score 3, you're not going to beat these guys because they're pretty good on defense. Wow. That's sideways props. They were like, oh, yeah, if Philly can get the 3, they could have a chance to win. Like, in other words, if you don't score 3 on these guys, they're going to fucking whoop your ass. 4 to fucking 1 for Shorty and a power play and Ehlers and Staal and Chatfield. Oh my God. At your home where you're excited to play at. All right. So, all right, fine, whatever. What happens next game, whatever. But Canes for a cup. Love y'all. See ya.
The 919 that just called. Please text the sports phone to tell me what you were enjoying tonight while watching the game. I'd love to know. Would love to know. Let's close things out with a 919. Like I said, I don't screen these calls when we do After Darks. Okay, I just go to the Google Voice, I pull them, and I put them in the StreamYard, and then I just play them. It's the first time I'm hearing them. Let's close it out with this.
Hey, guys, I cannot believe how good the Hurricanes are playing. All I know is the national media cannot stand when we score, and the referees are trying their best to even up series or at least make it not go like, 4-0. The national media are all over like, oh, let him play, whenever like there's a foul called on the other team. But when there's a foul called on our team, we go, oh, yeah, that was egregious. I don't like the fact that at the very end, they tried to make the game ugly and hurt us. They should be suspended for the next game. So maybe I'm crazy. This could be the year. I hope I'm right. I'm usually wrong, but love you guys. Can't wait to hear the After Dark. Thanks.
Yeah, I think Sabah kind of nailed it right there. I am doing my best, Alex. I am doing my best not to get caught up in the moment. There's still a lot of hockey left. Okay. But damn, man.
Not even halfway there.
But damn, they look good. They
do.
look good. Okay. And I get it. These other teams, they're just getting there. They're on the up. I get it. But damn, the Canes look good. So we'll see what happens on Saturday. Hey, man, thanks for pinch hitting this evening. We will be back. Well, later today as we're approaching midnight here on the After Dark, brought to you by Blue and Blinds. We'll have a Butcher's Market mailbag. I'm sure we'll have some leftover calls from tonight's game and look ahead to Saturday's game 4 to see if they can sweep this thing and go from there. In the meantime, I'm going to prepare my stomach. I'm going to have one of those gritty smoothies from Wawa on my way up to Philly tomorrow. Have you seen the gritty smoothie?
Unfortunately, yes.
Yeah. I'm gonna taste test one, grab some Hers chips while I'm there.
You got to. If you're going, you got to.
Right? Got to do that. You got to do it, man. Hey, man, I appreciate you stepping in today, and we will see you tomorrow for an OG mailbag. Again, thanks to everybody watching the OG After Dark. If you like what we're doing, hit the subscribe button, hit the hype button, hit the like button. Leave us a review on podcast as well. 5 stars only, positive vibes only. We'll see you for a mailbag on Friday.